Welcome back to Fulham Fix. It is a brand new season, which is slightly odd, as it's like currently coming towards the end of the current football season. But it is a new season of Fulham Fix.
Yeah, do you know what? It's also like quite a big landmark moment for me because for all of us, including you, because it's a 50th episode of Fulham Fix, 50. Which means we have now done as many episodes of Fulham Fix as Clint Dempsey has scored for Fulham in the Premier League.
So wow, that is one hell of a fact.
Yeah, and
have you always known that fact?
No, the only reason I know it is because it's a bit like the Queen when you turn 100 or the King, you get a message from royalty saying, Clint Dempsey sent us a personal letter of congratulations saying, now you've done. When anyone does anything 50 of anything, Clint Dempsey says congratulations, you've now done 50 of a thing. I scored 50 goals for them in the Premier League. You got any other 50 facts?
As tenuous as that? Yeah, sure. I've got players, former Fulham legends that have turned 50 this year. The list is it's not a long one. There's one. Yeah. So a former Fulham legend that turns 50 in 2026 for Kundisava.
I love for Kundisava. I can't imagine him as a 50-year-old. No. In the mask. Do you think he still wears the mask?
Yeah, he wears the mask. Yeah, he hasn't taken that off.
We should get him on Fulham Fix at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we can't get him, we'll just have a player in a mask and pretend it's him. A terrible thing to say.
Could play anyone.
Yeah.
If you're too young to remember him, Sava used to score goals for them and he used to carry a mask, a sort of Mask of Zorro thing in his socks and then pull it out and put it on. So if you don't remember that, maybe we can get him at some point and he can explain to you. And that leads us to our next guest because we've got Brian McBride on.
Oh, yeah.
One of the all-time legends of Fulham Football Club. When I say all-time, I don't mean modern history. I mean the entire history of Fulham Football Club. You won't find more of a well-loved and decorated centre-forward, really.
Couldn't agree more. And we had to get a big one for the 50th episode.
Yeah, exactly.
We've pulled a gem out of the bag there.
Clint Dempsey made sure of that.
Yeah.
And if you were too young, if you don't remember Sava, and if you don't remember McBride, because you're that young, here's a little bumper pack, all you need to know about Brian McBride before you shoot to him.
He played more than 150 games for Fulham.
He scored 40 goals, most of them with his head.
He was our Captain America.
A vital and integral part of Roy Hodgson's Great Escape team.
And he was arguably one of the greatest centre-forwards for Fulham of all time.
I would definitely argue that.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone wouldn't argue that, actually. Would argue against that.
No.
No.
Anyway. Not to his face, anyway.
So those are the facts about Brian McBride if you never saw him, if you were too young. But if you did see him here at Craven Cottage, you won't need to know any of that because you already know it in your heart. Here's Captain America, Brian McBride. Brian McBride.
Hello.
Welcome to Fulham Fix. So firstly, I just want to get it out of the way, Brian. I'm just looking at your face and seeing the cottage in the background.
Yeah.
My brain is just going, Brian McBride, it's Brian McBride, it's Brian McBride, it's Brian McBride. Do you still sing that in your head? Ever?
I've never sung that.
You've never sung
once.
that?
Never
Surely
once.
You've never sung
I
it?
haven't. My wife has sung it many
Has
times as a joke, yes.
Did Fulham was that a song that everyone sung about you, or was it just a Fulham thing?
Yeah, it's only been Fulham.
Right, it's only been Fulham.
Yeah.
It's Brian McBride.
Yeah.
It's Brian McBride. Lovely to see you.
Great to see you guys.
So good to see you. We were just talking about, the last time you were over here, how long ago was that?
I think it had to be 7 years ago.
7 years ago. So really sort of pre anything happening here, and you're admiring the new stand, and what's your thoughts coming back here and seeing it?
It's beautiful. It really is. We were talking about it before, just, the luxury boxes that were on the corners.
That's right.
And, now this, you can see this studio from down there, and it just looks like a proper stadium. It's nice.
It's pretty epic, right?
You scored some very famous goals here, which we'll get into at some point a bit later. But firstly, let's start at the beginning, because before you came to Fulham, you'd been at Everton on loan for a period of time.
Correct.
What was your relationship with English football before you came? Had it been an ambition to you to come to England or to Europe or anything specifically before you'd met Fulham?
Yeah, for sure. When I got out of college, I had a trial at Wolfsburg and got offered a contract there.
Not under Felix McGat, was it?
No.
No.
Yeah.
Thank God for that.
No, yeah, exactly. Although Eckhart Krautzun wasn't
far off.
Wasn't very soft.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Yeah. So, and to be honest with you, I just mentally wasn't prepared for it. Physically, I was fine, but the mental side and the grind of having been a starter everywhere I've gone and then not playing and being young, I didn't really understand what was required mentally. But what it did do is it taught me how to really be a professional. So when I went back to MLS, I sort of had a leg up on the guys that were just starting their professional careers.
Interesting.
So yeah, that was sort of the gist of my desire to play in Europe.
Yeah.
And then, after meeting my wife and, having a family, getting to understand I've got this support system, the desire was definitely there to go and play. And so David Moyes, was at Preston North End, and he brought me over in the championship. And that was my first taste of it, and loved it.
Wow.
Yeah. So that time at Wolfsburg, that kind of like you said, that the mental stress of it, I suppose, didn't put you off. It fed your desire to want to come back and play in Europe. And
yeah, most definitely. And there's other aspects to it that are off the field, and not being able to speak the language. I mean, by the time I left, I was decent enough to get by, but you add in all those factors of the mental strength, but also not having anybody to get away from the sport. It just made me realize that there's things I needed to do and learn and grow.
And we were going to get to this a bit later, but there is quite an interesting parallel there with, for example, Clint Dempsey, who said that being American, he always felt like he had to prove himself on some level in a different way when he came to England. Did you just to get that sort of perception out of the way, did you feel like that? That's because it's much more normalised now, having North American footballers in the Premier League. But at the time, it would have been a very rare thing.
Yeah, I think, Clint's situation was exasperated by the fact that managers kept changing. So, for him, he felt like he had to continually show himself and prove himself. And to a certain extent, that was true. In the end, I think it made him a better player because you go through that. But, that Clint was a special player from the very beginning. And to see him blossom here and really just continue to grow and it was an awesome thing to see as an American, but also knowing, he had to grind.
Yeah, but there's similarity there between you and him, isn't there? Because you would both pop out at your times at Fulham at being physically more up for it, more combative than almost anyone on the pitch. And I just wonder if there's some sort of parallel there of having to fight to get your way to England.
It could be. Clint was a tough guy before he got here anyways.
I believe that. I believe that. You probably were too.
He's an amazing individual, and people don't understand how much of a sweetheart he is off the pitch with his family. And but yeah, there's probably some parallels in that.
Yeah.
So when I came here, or even before at Everton, you hit the ground running because you know what you have to do.
Yeah. So let's get to your time here, because Chris Coleman signed you for 600,000,
which is like, looking back now. I mean, even yesterday I was chatting to a couple of Fulham fans, and they're like, "Oh, we got him for a steal, didn't we? Like, we only got him for like 2 million." I'm like, "No, it was like less than that. It was like 600 grand, which is insanity to think of what you brought to us." So tell us how that came about. How did Coleman approach you? Was it Coleman that approached you?
No, it was actually my agent. So my agent was doing a deal with Chris for another player that was already here, just basically re-signing a player. And so the story goes from my agent telling me, as soon as the paperwork's done, Cookie asked, "Hey, you got anybody else that's possibly going to move?" And of course, my agent said myself. And he's like, "All right, let's do it." So there was another deal supposedly going on that was supposed to happen, but got held up for many different reasons. Mostly the price had changed from the summer to, long story, but I won't bore you with that in the sense that, so I was rehabbing my shoulder and I was waiting for a call from my agent. So he called me and he's like, "All right, we got something." I'm like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Well, it's not where you think it is. It's Fulham." And I'm thinking, okay, that's London. I think it's probably a better option for the family.
Could you mind me asking where the other possible...
It was Blackburn.
Blackburn. Okay.
Yeah.
I think London. Yeah, it's not vibey city.
And he goes, "There's one catch." And I said, "Okay, what is it?" He goes, "Can you be here tomorrow morning?" So it was 4:00 in Columbus.
Oh wow!
And so I called my wife and I'm like, "Dee, can you pack a bag?" She said, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Well, Fulham needs me to be there for a medical tomorrow morning." And she's like, "Okay, I'll pack it." So I went from my rehabbing my shoulder to going home, picking up my bag from my wife, giving her a kiss, and then hopping on a plane to Chicago and then Chicago here.
Wow. It's like the Bourne ultimatum. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is get to Fulham by 4:00.
Yeah. I mean, and also like just from a purely like, I suppose, practical point of view, is it not harder to do a medical when you're jet lagged? Isn't it? Surely.
I think it was full adrenaline.
Was it?
Oh, wow.
Must be, yeah. A lot of airplane coffees.
So it was a full day. So I landed at 6. Car picked me up, took me straight to get the medical done.
No way. Sorry to make a sort of whimsical point, but I always find that stuff amazing because if you don't get to England in time on that day, then all that history that plays out at Fulham in the next 5 years, even the Great Escape, all that stuff doesn't happen. Just amazing, these sort of sliding doors moments in life.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those things where, what if I couldn't get there? I mean, would it really not have happened? I have no idea. But certainly it was a whirlwind, but one that was fun.
And how was it for you, knowing that you weren't necessarily on Chris Coleman's radar? It wasn't a case of, right, we've seen this player, we want this player. It was more of a, what have you got? What can we get? Yeah, let's take him. That's brilliant. Does that affect you at all, or does it take the pressure off a little bit?
No, not at all. I mean, there was pressure. I mean, the person I was replacing, which I never would be able to replace Louis Saha because we're completely different players. But my mind was just fully focused on what I could do, and the past experiences helped me with that, and understanding that I'm not going to be someone I'm not, right? If you're asking me to run in behind, we're going to be in trouble.
Right. So it wasn't, because we thought it happened really quickly. So was it sold to you like, oh, you're going to replace, or there was never an idea that you come and join Louis Saha at Fulham? You always knew you were coming in for him, essentially.
Yeah. When I knew that Louis was being sold, but never was it told to me, hey, you're going to replace Louis Saha.
Right.
It was more, we need a forward, and this is a great solution.
Yeah. We were watching your goal compilation before you came in, and it's brilliant. It's very long. It's a lot of goals. But that Fulham team of that time, before, like in that Coleman era, is just such a fantastic team. Some of the names in that team, like even Papa Bouba Diop, setting you up and people like that. It was really good team. Like, did you feel like when you turned up that there was just something that fitted you? Did it feel right to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, I had enough experience, with the national team and played amongst some really talented players and also against some talented players. But when I first saw Steed Malbrandt, get the ball with his back on, having two players right around him and just turn out and go, I was like, he actually likes people tighter to him. Like, if he gets a ball in open space, it was like, wait a second, his touch isn't near as tight, it's not near as good. And I was like, this is a different level of player. And then Louis Beaumorte with his extended toe.
I feel emotional.
I can't tell you how many defenders.
Did you say extend the toe? Did you say
extend the toe? Yeah. How many defenders thought they had the ball? And Louis would just
that extra centimeter.
It was like a little toe and just toe poke it right past him. So it was just a great experience for me to see that level.
Actually, when you say that, that's like dream service, isn't it? On the right-hand side, Steed, and left-hand side, Louis. I'm playing up top, being the sort of striker you were. You probably couldn't have many better wingers, really.
Yeah, and I need that, right? I mean, that's, if I go to a team that there's not a lot of service, then I'm not going to be near as effective, for sure.
Yeah, it's such a great. So one of the things that like people always talk about with you is like just your guts and being how physical you were. And something we were talking about this week actually is that we felt like we saw it every week and almost took it for granted. And you gave Fulham fans a sense of Brian's here, will be all right. It was that sort of feeling that everyone sort of had. But what was really interesting is that you played in a World Cup during your time at Fulham. And that was really rare, actually, at that time to have a Fulham player represented in a World Cup. So there was a sense of pride even at Craven. I'm sure there was in America, but in Craven Cottage of just having you representing Fulham in a way at that World Cup.
Nice. I didn't know that. Yeah.
And during that tournament, you get an elbow or something. You did it break your nose, break your cheek?
No, I got my cheek. Yeah.
Get your cheekbone.
I think the story gets like better and better as time goes on.
Tell that story.
No, I mean, so the funny part of that story is I'd already had my face reconstructed twice. So both one was an elbow, one was a head. This was in MLS. So I had titanium plates
already
in my face. And at that time, I have more feeling in my face now. At that time, I like you could touch my face, I couldn't feel it. And so when the elbow came, like because I was in the air, I fell backwards. So as I'm getting up off the ground, Carlos Bocanegra comes over. He's like, stay down. He's going to get a red. Stay down. And I'm like, okay. So I stay down, and the docs come out, and I get up. It wasn't like I didn't feel any pain or anything. It was just one of those things that, he caught me with an elbow. So what? So that's I'm not trying to downplay it, but it wasn't near as
okay.
But the story goes like, oh my gosh. Your eye, everything was just shattered. I'm like, no, it was just an elbow.
It looked epic, though. Well, imagine that on the world stage. It looked epic, like you said.
You were bleeding. It was,
I mean, my wife was like, okay, we got to keep the pictures because it was on paper pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
So, like, all right, we got to keep this picture away from our daughters because they freak out, right?
Yeah, of course.
But
is it true or false that those titanium plates set off security airports?
Thankfully, no.
Oh, they don't?
They never did at any point.
No.
So that's a myth that you walk through security?
Yes, that's a myth.
Oh, for God's sake. I've got something done there.
You've had, so as well as the titanium plates, obviously, and you've got the cut cheek, those moments. I mean, you've had so many injuries, right? So many. I mean, like, you're right. You got a rib removed as well because of an blood clot, was it? Or?
Yeah.
And what was that from?
That was the worst, by the way.
Okay.
So I was actually at Preston on loan, and we were playing Arsenal in a cup game, and I think it was my second game there, and I wanted to show the fans, all right, I'm not afraid to get into a little tackle or something, and I took an elbow to my bicep as I took the guy down and thought nothing of it. So 3 days later, we were at Sheffield Wednesday, and in the locker room after the game, we won the game, and we're changing, and my teammate next to me, he goes, "Holy cow, your arm!" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "No, your other arm." And I look, and my right arm is twice the size of this arm, and I'm like, "Oh, that's not good." So anyways, from that elbow, I had a blood clot that came right in my thoracic and just stuck right there because of how small the space was. It's boring, but
it's not. It's just making me feel sick. That's all. Yeah.
So I had to fly back right away. Yeah. They angioplasty it out. Like they go in and like eat it basically to dissolve it, and then I got put on blood thinners. And the great thing about that is then I had to have at least a month on blood thinners. They told me to go home, spend time, because it was right before Thanksgiving. It's actually right around this time. And that's where I met my wife.
Oh. Yeah. Whilst you were at home, out and about?
Yeah. I was supposed to be at Preston.
No way.
Yeah.
There's the movie right there.
It's another sliding doors moment.
Another sliding doors moment.
Jesus, so I'm putting together the McBride ultimatum.
McBride ultimatum with a romantic twist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, I like it. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Do you think that you have a very unusually high pain threshold?
I think it's gotten bigger and bigger, yes. So that was the first time. Second time, they said, all right, if it happens again, we're going to have to take your rib out. And I'm like, what? So it happened again. And so then they went in and took my rib out.
Which rib?
But at the same time, my right side, the first rib.
Okay, all right. They didn't balance it out.
No, they
does
didn't.
Does it
Thank
feel
God.
different?
Oh my gosh, it was.
It's like it doesn't feel like.
Doesn't feel
Why would
different.
they balance it out?
I don't know. Like, does it feel?
You know what? Let's take that other. Let's take the other side out too.
Yeah, just so you feel like
right.
yeah.
You know, now sometimes like over there. That's a good point. Yeah. Sometimes I walk to the right more. It's a little lighter.
You know, like with a car, it just sort of veers a little bit. You need to straighten out. All right, go on. Yeah, sorry.
No, but so when that surgery, the doctor was horrible. But he thought he cut my lung, so he put a chest tube in. Oh man, that was the worst thing in the world, because when they took the chest tube out, air between my lung and my rib had collected. So every time I breathed, it was horrendous pain. Oh. So I think that sort of raised my tolerance to pain. It was like, I don't want to breathe. Oh my God.
And you're playing football at this time? No, you're.
I was, yeah. But not during that, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had to have that happen.
God, who was this doctor? You don't have to obviously know.
I'm not gonna,
shame, but good
I
God.
don't need to be sued. So.
And that's before you come to Fulham, all this stuff. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So because you come to Fulham at the age of 31, I think. Yeah. So it's quite actually late in your career. So you're quite like, I wasn't going to use the word weather, but you're very battle hardened by about time.
You could say weather.
But given what we got out of you, it's pretty remarkable, actually, isn't it? Those 4 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I was always someone that was uber fit, not so much anymore, which is disappointing. But that the age, I actually was faster when I was 32 than when I was 24.
Really?
Yeah, no, it's still not fast though.
That's brilliant. I mean, just sort of like, just so it's not dwell on the injuries, like what we really remember you for is obviously heading the ball. Did you always have like just talk us through the art of heading a ball? Did you have an instinct for it in terms of just what side of a defender to be, or just like a bravery of committing to the ball and all that kind of thing, like placement? Was that something that was always part of your game?
I think the movement off the ball just continued to develop. Growing up, I played pretty much every single sport you could possibly imagine. My mom, divorced mom, so she would put all 3 of us were, in different sports, racquetball, bowling. I was in ballet.
Wow.
I ice skated for a while. The only thing I really didn't do was gymnastics. But I think all of that, and I loved it. I was just, probably a kid who would be diagnosed with ADD, wanted to always be on the move. So I think like those sports, rebounding a ball in basketball, spiking a ball in volleyball, all of those helped my timing. Yeah. And I was springy. And that, I think those things, as far as, winning headers, I think those things had a real impact on how I was able to time things.
That's so interesting. As you said that, I just had an image of when you're like playing basketball, how you sort of pirouette and move and get rid of people. And it's almost a similar discipline, isn't it, in lots of ways?
Yeah, I was nowhere near the basketball player. Don't do me that much credit.
Yeah, not Michael Jordan.
But just doing it and playing it, you figure out what works and what doesn't work. But the movement side of it was definitely because of soccer, and just seeing other players do it and how they get free, and knowing that my pace isn't going to be the factor that allows me to get free. I've got to make defenders think and try and find me.
You mentioned as well the lack of feeling in your face. Did that spread at all? Was it any at all in your head as well? So when you were heading the ball, it just didn't have the same.
No, unfortunately,
you could head it even harder.
Yeah, when they headed my head, the top of my head, I felt that.
Oh, okay, yeah, it makes it even more epic then.
Sorry, go on.
No, go on, mate.
When Coleman leaves Fulham, sort of unexpectedly, obviously Sanchez comes in. 2 questions really about that time. Firstly, did you like, how did you receive that? Did Chris tell you? Were you expecting it? Because I think there's a slight drop off of form, if not a huge one. And then secondly, when Sanchez comes in, it's quite interesting because we feel like, looking back on that Sanchez might have come in and said, I'm going to build this team around Brian McBride, and then you obviously get an injury, which we'll get into. But was there, when Sanchez came in, did you feel like he brought in a bunch of players that were actually going to play through you, and then your injury just completely threw that plan off?
I think that's exactly right. And the biggest factor was the fact that Heider was sold.
Yeah.
Because if Heider wasn't sold we could still play that. I mean, from the day he came, it was all about get the ball to the fullbacks, and they'll serve it long to me, and we're running off the flick-ons.
Yeah.
And, it was working, and the way the team was set up, it allowed us to then play through that. So yes, I think, when I got injured, it really affected the team because they didn't have a target forward.
Yeah, right.
And so, that was a real disappointing time.
Yeah, because in that Sanchez period, you get injured in the Middlesbrough game where you're injured in sort of August, and you're not fit again until February, March, and in that time you're watching what becomes the Great Escape season. But in that chunk of time, we just can't win a game, and we're sunk really by that period. And firstly, just talk about your frustration, I guess, of watching that and what you're thinking about your future, because you have no idea that you're eventually going to come back and with a handful of other footballers save Fulham and actually the future of
kickstart
the course of
arguably,
the modern history of Fulham Football Club.
Yeah. No, I think to answer your question about how was it watching it, it was excruciating because I was also made the captain, the club captain, and I was so honored that was this is my time to be able to help lead the group.
Was that at the start under Sanchez you were made club captain?
Yeah, right. Yep. And so, I'm watching this and seeing things not work, and I feel part of the issue. The crazy thing about the injury I had, because everybody thought it was just a dislocated kneecap, but I actually tore my quad tendon, so completely. And so,
is there any part of your body that hasn't been affected by
my
injury?
lower half of my body's been pretty good.
Right.
Yeah,
it's been
pretty good. That was really the
that was the worst of it there. Okay.
Yeah, the main injury for my lower half of my body. So we also had another player get injured that same game, and his was much worse. Buaza, had his shoulder dislocated, and he was in crazy pain, to the point they had to give him gas and so I'm already in the ambulance waiting to go to the hospital, and they said, hold on. we got one more, and he's in way more pain than me. So we get to the hospital, and then they take us both to the emergency room, and they like an intern doctor. He was, he wasn't a full doctor yet. He comes in and analyzes him. He's like, oh, you just dislocated your kneecap. Meanwhile, here he's like, and they're trying to get it back in, and they can't get it back because he's so muscular. And I'm listening to all this. I'm like, I'm in much better shape. I hope he's okay. So I called our U.S. doctor, Bert Mendelbaum, amazing doctor, and he's done tons of knees and tons of different surgeries. And I said, hey, are you okay doing this surgery? He's like, what is it? I said, I ruptured my quad tendon. He goes, what? He goes, normally that's like a 65 to 80-year-old type of injury, just walking down the stairs. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, athletes normally don't rupture that. I'm like, oh, that's comforting.
Yeah. Cheers, doc. Yes.
And so he does the surgery and everything's great. I'm like, so when do you think I'll get back? He goes, well, it's unclear. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I've never seen anybody rehab a quad tendon and come back and play, but I know you're fit. You're going to be fine. So there was nothing of precedent. I looked it up, and actually there's a few American football players, like linemen, big guys, that had ruptured it, and it took like year and a half to get back playing. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work.
Is at this point where you're 33, 34 now?
Somewhere around
there. Yeah. Is there any part of you that thinks I'm done?
I can't have that mindset.
Really?
And the medical staff at Fulham was great, and so. Going through the rehabilitation for it was painful, but, I never once thought I was not going to be back. And especially that made this whole thing about, being the club captain, getting injured early on, seeing what's going on, it just motivated me more to get back.
What makes it even more epic, the fact as well that you got back from it. For us, we're like, it felt like such a long period without having you in the team.
Felt that way to me.
But then to actually get you back knowing that's actually far quicker than it should have been. The fact that you came back at all and then played such a pivotal role in what ended up being
And get back in 6 months, actually.
Yeah, unbelievable.
6-7 months, isn't it?
Yeah. But you know what? You talk about how we got out of it, and it was so much more about the team and about Roy and how Roy set us up, because the first month of Roy being there, and I'm just coming back in the team, we were 3 deep at training, and we were just doing patterns of play. And the guys are like coming to me like, hey, can you tell Roy we want to play? Like, at least at the end, let us play 5v5 or 7v7. Just get games going.
So they're still utilizing you as their captain.
Yeah, I mean, that's
making you do the dirty work.
Of course.
Yeah,
so I would go into Roy and I'd be like, Roy, the guys are getting a bit antsy. They're totally. I'm not telling you what to do as a coach, but maybe you make the guys want to play. They want to like compete at practice. And he's like, Brian, trust the process. So I'm going back to the guys. Trust the process.
It says trust the process.
What the hell are you talking about? And lo and behold, after like a month and a half, we start seeing it on the field. Yeah. And, it's starting to click. Yeah. And it's almost like this rise of like, wow, you understand that this is the reason why this is happening. Yeah. And it just gives guys confidence now. And now we're starting to, when Roy sees us sort of doing it on the field, then now we're playing games in practice. We're doing things. And I think the mood around the team just kept getting more positive and positive. There wasn't a time Breda, and I would sit there and just let's keep this team confident moving forward. You also need to have fun. And believe me, you had Jimmy Bullard in the team. I was going to say, you had Bullard. And him and Danny Murphy, the amount of pranks these guys would play, it just kept things light, which it's needed, because at that point in time, you can see teams just collapse. And I think that whole situation just turned right. And, Roy got us on the right path.
Feeling emotional even hearing that. And it's actually right. I don't know if he wants this to be shared publicly, but when you scored the header against Birmingham, James over here says he cried his eyes out. I know a lot of people there crying. So that sense of fun and emotion that you're building it becomes a deeply emotional time over that month chunk of time. Let's just zone in on that a little bit. Those few games, Birmingham, Reading, you score before Netherlands, and there's just that feeling that it's so easy in hindsight, but you just have that like hairs raising up feeling of like, oh, we're getting out of trouble now. Have you got it now?
I got the chills, yeah.
I'm just thinking about it. I mean, internally, I don't know what the question is there really, just internally, did you have that sense between you that, oh, we're getting out of this?
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think there was ever a moment where we didn't believe we couldn't do it. And then the second last game when we win at home, and we get a chance to thank all the fans.
Yeah.
And again, I'm getting the chills. It's just this emotional, and now we're in control of our destiny, which we hadn't had for a very long time.
Yeah.
So, the belief just kept going. Like I said, it was at a 9 or a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And that final game of the season, was it with 15 minutes to go? Was it? If you'd have put money on who was going to head a goal in,
I've got a great story
to keep us. Yes. Like it wouldn't be on Danny Murphy.
No, I've got a great story. So when Danny first came to the club, he's a great guy. He's a great communicator. He engages everybody from young players to the veterans, and he's played. He's coming from Liverpool at the highest level of Champions League and all these other things, and he's still talking to everybody. So he comes to me and he's like, man, you gotta teach me how to head. I can't head a ball for the life of me. And when he scored that, I remember that moment when he said, I can't head the ball for the life of me. And he ghosts in from the top of the box. I don't know if he'd ever been in the box before. And that's why he wasn't marked. Yeah. And he heads it in and he's running, trying to get past me. I'm like, there's no way. I'm taking you down. Yeah. And so I think I wrapped my legs around him. I full on tackled him just because it was that. And of course, it was our fans right there.
Yeah.
So it was like pandemonium, just this Amazing feeling.
That is too much for me to hear that.
It is.
But I mean, how's that for you? Like a few years earlier, you said, "Yeah, you got to teach me how to do that," and then that's.
But I didn't teach him anything. I didn't teach him anything.
Did you? Oh, right, you didn't.
I mean, you can go look at the stats. You can go look at stats.
Yeah.
That may have been the second ball he headed that year. I have no idea if that's true or not.
Right.
Yeah.
But
he was never a header, really. Was he?
Yeah.
It was really quite remarkable. And it was such an incredible moment. At what point not so much that game, but at what point during that whole run did you think, yeah, we could do this? We could actually... Because we had Roy on the podcast, and I think there was a point where he wasn't sure, even in that last match, didn't you? Because he was going through his mind the possibilities of, if
a year in a championship,
championship, what happens, people losing their job. Because we asked him about, because he was quite stony-faced at full time. He was quite sort of,
Yeah.
So at what point, you were always believing all the way up, even when it was 0-0 in the, 65th minute, 70th minute,
Yeah, I think when you say believe, you have to believe, right? If you start second guessing yourself, you're going to lose an edge. You're not going to be fully capable of calling on all your faculties to do whatever is needed. But Roy did a really, really good job of explaining to us what happens if we go down. And he talked about it. He's like, listen, you have 4 athletic trainers in there. You're not going to have 4 if you go down to the championship. So one of those guys or girls that you are friends with, they're not going to be here. And so, making it very, very evident what would happen. And so all of that factors into just the focus and determination of, trying to stay up.
Do you know that you're going to leave Fulham Football Club during that period of time? Is that because that becomes really poignant as well, but that's your last impact you'll have at Fulham on the pitch?
Yeah. Wow. So my initial contract was 2.5 years, and we signed a contract to make it 3.
Yeah.
And then signed it for 4.5. But my wife and I, we always wanted to have a third, but we wanted to have our third child back home. So, I don't think I've ever told anybody. Well, close friends.
We're close friends.
Chris knows this. So we're like, okay, it's time to go back, because we were told when we first got here that if we had our daughters in the American Community School, ACS at Cobham, and you need to take your kids back at 3rd grade or keep them here until they go into high school, because there's a period I'm going to bore you, but there's a period in there where the development is a little bit slower, and then it accelerates. Yeah. And so we knew this. We've been told this by many of the people that were at ACS that have gone back or come, because they're there for expats working in the States. I mean, working in England. So we sort of knew that we were gonna go, and so my wife gets pregnant, knowing that we're going to go. And so we didn't tell anybody, but we told them.
So she was pregnant at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, yes, I knew we were going home.
Privately within yourself, you just knew, yeah. So you hadn't told the team?
My wife and I.
The team didn't know?
No, the team didn't know.
The team didn't know?
Yeah. When did you tell them, or did they find out come the start of next season, I suppose?
No, it was at the end of the season.
No way.
Yeah.
How did that go down? Do you remember it?
It's fine. Yeah, we were all joyous because we'd stayed up. So,
did you tell them that night that staying up?
Yeah,
oh, no way.
Yeah.
God, so it was tinged with a bit of sadness that night, maybe for you a bit.
I think we had made that decision and the mindset.
But like as Ivan said, it does feel like very cinematic. You come into Fulham and your
this
whole life
story
feels
cinematic.
Mad story.
Every little,
and
amazing.
that's the ending. There's no better ending, is there? Really, with you at Fulham, like having done that, and especially I guess from afar, seeing what Fulham achieved in the next couple of years, probably would have been a sense of like, I was part of that movement in lots of ways.
No, I don't think I never looked at it like that. I felt so excited, like when Clint Chips.
I was going to say, you were
Juventus game, and I'm watching it on TV. I'm like, that kid, he is amazing. I mean, who would ever think he's facing the corner flag and decides to just pop it, chip the goalkeeper from outside the penalty area?
Yeah.
I mean, amazing.
Were you watching that in America?
Yeah,
you watched
yeah.
Are you in? You chatting with Clint this whole time? Were you texting or?
No, we talk every once in a while. Yeah.
Was there any part of you sitting back watching the next year or two with Fulham sort of unfold? Was there any part of you going, I should still be in there. I should still be in the mix?
I almost came back.
Really?
Did you?
Yeah.
No, when?
So that next winter, Bobby was still finding his feet.
Yeah.
And Roy called my brother, who was my agent. He was like, "Can we get him back on loan?"
No way.
Yeah. And it was all going to happen.
Yeah.
But my club, the Chicago Fire, said no.
Shut it down.
They'd already turned down Everton.
Okay.
But Everton didn't offer the right money. That's what the club told me.
Yeah.
Right.
Fulham came in and offered the right money, but they still didn't let me go.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. And how do you reflect on that now? Do you think that was
No, I think it's great. Look, Bobby found his feet, and you guys Fulham went to where they got to, and so it was probably better in the long run.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were ready.
Really
to come
happened.
Back.
Wow.
Come back, yeah.
Do you I just don't know. I mean, if you really realise how iconic your reputation is at Fulham and how much people love you, I don't know if it's something, obviously, because you seem like a very sane person, you wouldn't be like, oh, I'm so loved at Fulham, but people think of you. And I just thought, leaving after that Portsmouth game, it's just the perfect ending in lots of ways. So I'm wondering if you just reflect that was actually just the most wrapped up, poignant, profound way to leave an adventure.
Yeah, I never looked at it like that. I thought the timing of the situation, and I thought the mindset I was at, the fact that I had my wife and our two daughters, I could get away from soccer when I needed to, but I could also embrace and really dive in. And the unique part was how connected I felt with the fans, which in a short period of time. It was pretty amazing.
Brian, before we wrap up, firstly, so good to see you.
It really
I
is.
think there's been so many people very happy to see you at the Cottage. So thank you. And thank you for the good times. Thank you for the memories. But before we leave, you actually played with an astonishing amount of other centre forwards at Fulham. So I'm going to reel them off.
Okay.
And after you hear the name, just a quick thought about them personally or playing with them. First up, Barry Hales.
Yeah, Barry, when I first came, I was still getting my feet, and Barry was, a legend in the fact that, he was with Fulham coming up and helped them get up. So it was, his movement was what made him a player.
Yeah. Andrew Cole, formerly known as Andy Cole.
Just this amazing goal scorer.
Yeah.
And he was as I said before, you learn from others. If you watch others do things, and Andy did something I'd never seen before. So when we would play the ball long, Andy would purposely jump way too early to mess up the defender. So the defender would be like, "Oh, he's jumping," and Andy would jump early and come down. The defender would jump, and then Andy would just take the ball down on his chest.
Wow. That's genius.
I was like,
Jedi.
Wait a second, this is amazing. How does he do that?
Yeah, that's brilliant.
So,
Wow, I'm so glad.
So did you try a bit of that then yourself?
Well, I didn't have to, but it made me understand. This is someone that may not have the ability to win headers, but he figures out a way to keep the ball and win the ball.
Finds a way.
Yeah. But he could strike a ball like nobody I'd ever seen. Like how pure in practice it would just be amazing. And it was, I remember specifically, this one drill, he kills a ball right underneath him. And normally, you don't know what, you either take a step back or he just moves his feet and he pills this thing. And it goes like 2 inches off the ground, hits the back of the net in the corner. And I'm like, how do you get the power out of that? Mm. And he's like, because he moved his feet. And that I incorporated. Like understanding. I don't need a big wind up. It's moving your feet and striking.
And did you know a little bit about the history of Andy Cole?
Of course,
being the most expensive player. It's unbelievable.
Because we played against Dwight all the time in Trinidad. So watching them in the treble and all that stuff. Yeah, I knew about Andy.
What a time to be alive. McBride and Cole up front for Fulham. Okay, next name, Vincenzo Montella.
Yes. He was a character. He was like, practices would be done after an hour, and we'd walk off the field. He goes, "What? We still practice."
Really?
In Italy, they like 3-hour practices.
Like, where you going?
But they're a lot slower, and this was back then. I don't know how it is now. And so yeah. But the one thing I knew about him was he always knew where I was. So like I could drift off a defender's shoulder. He could be facing the other way, and he'd still be able to play me the ball.
Yeah. Nice. Bit of a cheat because he played out wide more often than not, but Thomas Radzinski.
Yeah, Rads. So I played with him at Everton. So it was,
of course, yeah.
Yeah. So that bit of familiarity was great. But again, another guy who just was an incredible worker, really, really good teammate, served a great ball, but also scored some great goals.
Friend of the podcast, Collins John.
Collins. I think he probably didn't fully reach his potential because athletically he had everything. He had pace, he had power, he could finish. But yeah, really good guy.
Heider Helgeson. Have you mentioned him already?
Yeah. I remember before he came to us because we played Watford, and I was on the other side of the pitch, and I was watching him do what he does, and I was like, damn, that guy's good. And just a ton of fun to play with. When we played together, it was like, all right, let's go rough these guys up.
Let's rough them up. Fellow American, Eddie Johnson.
Yeah.
Interesting one.
Eddie, yeah. Again, I don't think he reaches full potential here. He's has really good movement, hard worker, definitely was a good teammate to play with.
Theo Kamara.
Yeah. I strictly remember, Man City, and that started it. And really, really good finisher.
Legendary David Healy.
So I played with David at Preston North End.
No way.
Yes, yeah, him, John McKenna. David, again, that when I first saw him at Preston, little guy, but could he finish?
Yeah.
And, again, really good movement, found space just because of not his pace, but understanding of movement. Yeah.
And finally, cult hero at Fulham and also part of the Great Escape, Eric Neverland.
Yeah, Eric. Oh, my gosh. When he first came through the door, I was like, this guy's way too smart.
To play football.
Yeah. But again, really good teammate and someone who, behind the scenes in that Great Escape, in the locker room, always positive, always, bringing the team up.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, the final thing we're going to say is if you were up front in an all-time Fulham team, you are in a lot of people's all-time Fulham team up front, but if you had to pick your other centre forward, who would it be out of? Bobby Zamora, Berbatov, Louis Saha.
We'll put this, Saha and then Mitrovic.
Mitrovic. Dirk Lehmann. Who else?
Go on, throw some big striker names our way.
It would
Fulham centre forward.
It would be Berbatov.
Berbatov, yeah. You and Berber.
Why Berber?
Because we're opposite.
Right.
We're opposite. Yeah. I mean, me and Mitrovic, it wouldn't work.
Right,
We'd be going for the same ball.
Yeah.
You'd injure each other when
you
end up knocking each other out. But that's fantastic. Listen, bro, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. So nice to have you back here. So nice to hear some of those stories. And man, I want to see the movie. Like, genuinely,
we'll start.
If there's any of these we've done, this feels like a film.
Totally.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. So happy to be back here. So thank you.
Come on, Fulham.
Brian McBride there. What a man. What a lovely episode.
Love Brian McBride, and it's always beautiful when someone who means so much to us at Fulham, it's returned, and he has that feeling towards Fulham, which he clearly does.
Oh, and it was a bit emotional as well, wasn't it? Got a bit choked.
It
up.
was emotional.
Lovely.
Ivan, you're about to do your duty as match announcement.
I am, yeah.
We
are with Fulham Spurs. Match day, I'm about to be handed a mic and go pitch side to start my pre-match build-up. Very exciting.
Do you get nerves before you do that?
No, not so much. Especially when I first start, there's probably only about a couple of thousand in the stadium, about an hour before kickoff, then it starts to build.
And you see it build up?
Oh, I see it get, by the time I'm doing team lineups, it's getting a bit rowdy. Love it.
So good. So anyway, Fulham are about to play Spurs. Ivan's going to do that. What we want to do with this series back of Fulham Fix is we started Fulham Fix like this, and we got a bit waylaid because had so many Fulham legends from sort of past and present on that we just got a bit distracted. But what we really want to do is hear from you on all things Fulham. So we're going to involve, as well as Fulham legends, whether it's the playing team at the moment or from history. We also want to speak to you about your Fulham stories, whatever they might be. And we're going to start American themed, like McBride, with Sam from the New York Supporters Group, who's here today. I think they've hired out a pub, the Americans.
Have they?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So they're here to watch a game, Fulham Spurs. We're going to catch up with him. And then if you, in any future episodes, have got any Fulham stories, is it a supporters group? Do you have some sort of story with Fulham Football Club that you would like to share?
Yeah, maybe a cool interaction with a player, a past player, something like that.
Anything. We've got a great Alex Iwobi story coming, but it's fulhamfix@fulhamfc.com. Get in touch with us. Here's Sam. We'll see you soon. Come on, Fulham Football Club. As promised, it's very American themed this week. Sam, we've just had Brian McBride on.
Oh, wow, really? Oh, my gosh. One of the reasons I got into Fulham, honestly. Yeah.
That's a great place to start because this is Sam, you're the head of the New York Supporters Group, right?
That's right, yeah, the president of the Fulham NYC.
And Jeff from Fulham has just met you this week because he's gone out and watched the game, the Sunderland win, which you watched with him.
Yeah.
And today you booked out a pub, or is loads of you come down? Is this a regular thing, or what's the?
So we try to make an annual trip out of it. There's 18 of us over this year, which is a really nice number. And yeah, we have a lot of friends over in London just from over the years, and we booked out one of the pubs nearby, the Duke's Head. And before this, there was 40, 50 of us over, everyone, doing chants, just really happy to be here. And it is a unique experience whenever you're, have such a close, tight knit group of people that are able to, fly across the Atlantic with you and just go enjoy Fulham the same way you do.
What's your story with Fulham? Because you were born in England.
Yeah. So my entire family's from Pittsburgh. It's where my parents met, where all my aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents were. But we were actually expats over here in London, and my dad said to me it'd be really fun to take Sam to a game. So he was asking around some of his colleagues, and famously a colleague who's not even a Fulham fan was like, you should go to Fulham. It's a really nice stadium right by the river. It's a good family friendly environment. And so we went to a game, and just absolutely fell in love with it.
Straight away?
Yeah, straight away.
At what age were you?
I think I was 5 years old.
And so what team would have that been? What was it?
That would have been the Pizza Hut era and Pipex. Yeah, exactly. So this is I'm lucky and fortunate that I have a lot of my dad's hand-me-downs
is that for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's so nice. So when you went back to America, you obviously thought, I want to keep in touch with Fulham, basically.
Exactly.
And there's this one bar, and because I've been to this bar. I watched whenever I'm in New York, I watched England, but also I watched Fulham Chelsea in it actually a couple of years ago. But that's where you all sort of congregate.
That's exactly right. So I've since moving back to the States, I lived in Philadelphia for a while, lived in New Jersey for a bit, and now I'm in New York. And anytime I go to a different place, I always try to stay true to the Fulham and be able to watch with other Fulham fans. Because it can be a lonely experience sometimes, being a Fulham fan. Well, I mean, for one, true, but specifically in the United States, where most people are Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool. Yeah. So when you have that group of people that are all Fulham fans, it's real camaraderie to it, and it's really, really nice. And so I actually met someone through a friend, because they were like, oh, you're a big Fulham fan. One of my best friends is a Fulham fan. I should introduce you guys. So we got introduced. And we said, hey, let's start watching at this pub together, to which we didn't even realize it, but there were a couple other Fulham fans who would come because it was a big football pub.
Brilliant.
And, at the end of it, we've grown from genuinely me, James, and Duncan, going every week, watching the championship dog days, to now, I mean, I think our chat is 75 people and even more kind of like friends from here in London. We're bringing over 18 people kind of a year to the games. And it's
so
like,
good.
The way it's grown has been really, really magic to be a part of.
And I should make a point that anyone's welcome to join it. So
Yes.
if you're watching this and you are in
Yes.
America or whatever, you can join it.
Yes, 100%. So, I mean, that's one of my biggest things is the inclusion of it, right? You know, if you're a Fulham fan, you're a friend of mine. Like that's simple. And so like I have my information on like the Fulham NYC webpage on like the fulham.com. So like I get emails all the time about people like, hey, I'm visiting New York, or oh, I just moved here. Like, I want to come see Fulham. And I'm always like, please, like come join.
Because there'll be so many Fulham fans like me that are in New York for whatever reason and can come to the pub and like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing I always say about Fulham, New York specifically, is that like, you know, New York is like a very unique place. Like it's one of the most crowded places in the world. So congested, so busy. Everyone's kind of like, you know, it's like little bees like running around the streets. But because of that, like because it's so busy and because it's so crowded, it kind of accentuates loneliness. Like when you have that, and like when you're moving to a new city, or you know you don't know a lot of people, or you're trying to meet people, it does accentuate that loneliness. And having the community of Fulham NYC, it's just brilliant. Like every weekend we get together. Yeah, you know, we have our chat. We have people, and it's not just like, oh, you know, who's going to start today, or, you know, oh, what do you think, how we going to fare against Spurs? It's, oh, you know, Bob, how was the week? Or, you know, James, like, how's the missus? How are you doing? Yeah. And it's like, it's just so important to have that community along with all the football.
And
of
you've
course.
really punctuated what's special about football generally there. That's so true, and that's very true of an existence in London as well. Just funny, because Fulham Spurs is very near to actually kicking off. Do you think it helps with you guys that there's been such an American connection? It's like, obviously, off the top of my head, Clint, Brian McBride, Carlos Bocanegra. There will be about 50.
Casey Keller. Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. No, it's insane, the Fulham connection, and even like with Tim Ream and Anthony Robinson recently. Yeah. But I think it has made it a bit easier, just because like you're, you know, obviously supporting, your compatriots, which is nice. And you know, I think historically, I think it was especially special, to be honest with you. So like whenever I was just starting to get into Fulham, I mentioned that Brian McBride was one of the reasons I got into Fulham. Like he was truly like my hero. Like he was like, you know, he was my favorite celebrity in the entire world, because like he was the reason I really just got into Fulham, where I'm like, this is an American also living in London, same situation I am. Like I can really relate to this person, both as a person, but then also cheer for him as a footballer. So it was like absolutely brilliant for me. Yeah, exactly.
You don't know that you've done that, but you just tied the first episode back up absolutely.
Oh, really?
Oh,
that's brilliant. I'm glad I did. But yeah, no, so just to answer your question more bluntly, like, yes, I think it makes a huge difference. I hope we continue the Full America, you know, connection. And, you know, the way I've been seeing Fulham New York City grow, and the way I've been seeing, you know, other cities fan groups grow, because I work with a lot of them as well. It's just brilliant, and I really just hope we can do it more and more.
Brilliant. So if you are a Fulham fan and you are in New York for whatever reason, or you're watching this in America and you want to get involved, how do they do that?
So you can reach out to me directly. I think I mentioned my emails on the Fulham FC. Just look up, you know, Fulham NYC on Google, and it should be right there. We also do run the socials, so feel free to just DM us on the socials as well, or just like keep up and follow. It is quite fun to see, you know, a bunch of people just showing up to a pub in the morning, all getting together to watch the Fulham. It's a pretty exciting thing.
And you're in H3 today?
Yeah, so we're in H3 today. It's 18 of us all towards the front. A couple of the folks, guys and girls, were able to walk the pitch too beforehand, which was just an amazing experience. And also it was just a testament to Fulham Football Club and how much they care about the fans, and like, you know, like really appreciate the fact that like we made the trip out here, and it's not easy, and it's definitely not easy waking up sometimes at 7 for a game on a Sunday, but that's what we do because we love the club.
Come on, Fulham.
Come on, Fulham.
Enjoy.
You Whites.